You know, we're living in a world now where you have so many options for shows that you don't understand the reality of where things used to be. I'm going to break it down for you. A juried show. There's been a period in time where African American artists, hey, my market is talking about black artists and African American artists, artists of color, and what we got to go through. So if you got an attitude with this, you might need to tune away from the show because it's really not for you. But I think this information is valuable. I used to have to go through a jury to participate in everything, whether it be from grants, whether it be for shows, whether it be for exhibitions, even for vending opportunities. Okay, so that means that there was a person jurying my work. Let's just say, for instance, all the jurors were white. And that was what it was when I started in 1980 with this stuff. They would look at my work, and my work would be screaming with a fist in the air, and they would see traditional work coming around it. And 9 times out of 10, if they went through my stuff, they were like, oh my Jesus. Woof, woof. So that means I wouldn't get selected for many shows. That also means that back in that time also, and even today, they have an entry fee for you to submit for shows. How many of you out there have paid an entry fee for a show and got rejected? Do you know that is also a revenue builder in the art business that nobody talks about? That they will actually use the money by rejecting you to fortify things that they need to do for their events. This thing is big. We know that racism exists everywhere, and please don't believe it doesn't exist inside this business too. So I want you to be more cognizant of when you apply to things. What's the reaction? Are times changing? Yes, they are. But the other thing that's changing now is that you have an option to do invitation-based shows. Because there are more artist advocacy organizations around now, you can now get a whole roster of shows just by an invitation. So that means some of y'all out there fooled into believing that you won't be rejected from a show. But this right here is about paid rejection. How many times have you paid a fee and got rejected? And when are you going to take time and look at what you submit? It took me a while to understand what I needed to do to pass through a jury. If I showed my airbrush work and more black conscious work, they were not selected. If I did something more painterly and more not traditional, but just it has to not be too harsh, too in your face, then all of a sudden I started jurying better. I started getting through juries. I started getting selected for more things. And I eventually created another whole style, not dumbed down, but it was also a focal point for me to make sure that my jurying average would raise. So if you're stuck right now and you're applying for things and you're being rejected left and right, and I watched Baltimore City beat down artists where they weren't being selected for nothing. I was in a situation where I've been in Baltimore my entire life and I've only gotten one grant in the whole 46-year career of mine. And I know how to write a grant, and I already know what it was. Y'all can say what you want to say, and those of you watching that rejected me, you know what the deal is. I'm just calling it out for the folks that don't know. This is what you deal with, and this is what's happening. What way we change that? Well, we need more black people getting involved with juries. And I see that we have more black curators now than we ever had any other time in history. There are more black organizations that cater to what we need at this point. But if you as artists don't understand what the real deal is, you'll find out. I just want you to be not so spoiled in your ways and thinking that just because you're getting into shows, that's the real picture of what the world is at this particular time. Poncho Knows. Check it out. Peace.